Hey y'all, happy Wednesday. So let's dig back in where we left off yesterday in the shield of faith, and that God has provided us with his armor, just like the city of Rome, the government of Rome provided the soldiers, Roman soldiers, with their armor. So God provides us with our armor, and not only is it our armor, but he gives us his armor. And that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day, but exciting that the armor that we wear is God's armor. All right, so let me get back in my notes. Romans 12 verse 3 is where we're going to go today. And in talking about the fact that God gives us his armor, gives us the armor to wear, Romans 12:3 says that God gives every man the measure of faith. And so God has given you faith. Romans 12:3, it says, according as God hath dealt to every man the measure of faith. God has dealt to every man the measure of faith. That should encourage you that you have the measure of faith. It has been given to you, deposited in you by God himself. And so, because we know that God has given us the measure of faith, that really takes some pressure off. That you don't need to compare yourself to anyone else. You don't need to think, well, I don't have as much faith as they do, or I'm not as advanced as they are, or there's no need for comparison. God has dealt to you the measure of faith. Well, what measure of faith? The measure of faith necessary for you. Whatever need you might have arise in your life, God has deposited the amount of faith into you that you be completely covered, right? Because the shield of faith is the all-covering shield, like a door, wide, long, all-covering shield of faith. And so when God deposited faith into you, it is enough to cover you and your life. Rick Renner, in his book Dressed to Kill, which I like to show it because I want to give him credit where credit is due, Dressed to Kill, it's his book on the armor of God, and it is absolutely phenomenal, hands down. But he said that this shield is like a wide, long shield. The faith God has given you is adequate to cover every need that could ever arise in your life. God has deposited that faith into you. Now, we do have some responsibility, and this is what we're going to dig into over the next couple of days for this week, is that though God has given us the measure of faith, what are we doing with that measure of faith? We are responsible for what happens to the faith that God gives us. Do we grow and develop it? Do we take care of it? Do we use it? Do we put it on the shelf? Do we treat it as one of those aspis shields, those decorative or ornate round ones that we pull it out and we use it for parades and ceremonies only? Do we show it off? Do we use it as a showpiece? And so really it has very little effect or very little use in battle because we only use it as a showpiece. What are we doing with the faith that God has given us? And just like every other piece of armor, the breastplate of righteousness, we talked about that the more the soldiers wore it, the shinier it would become, that those pieces of mail would rub against each other and become brighter and brighter. And the shoes, all of the things that we've talked about, there are ways that we take care, that we care for our armor. And faith is no different. And so how are we caring for it? What are we doing with the faith that God has given to us? And we're going to stop here today and pick up tomorrow. I'll see you then. Bye, y'all.